If you're newer to Jiu-Jitsu, you may find yourself feeling confused about the position of guard. What are you supposed to do when you have an opponent in your guard? What's the objective? What are your options? What should I not do? There's a lot of information, and sometimes it's not always clearly explained, especially in the beginning, because there's really no true starting point in Jiu-Jitsu. You can start just about anywhere. As long as it's fundamental, you'll be fine. With that being said, we're gonna cover exactly what you need to know to clear up all the confusion behind this position so that you can move forward and progress at a rate that's good for you. So without further ado, let's jump in. First off, let's talk about the point of guard and what we're looking for. This is an offensive position, which can be confusing because as a new person in Jiu-Jitsu, you see that you're on your back, and that can feel very inferior. It can feel very vulnerable, but you have to remember in Jiu-Jitsu, it's very much zero-G fighting. We can fight off our back. And as we check the example, you can see that I have all 4 of my limbs in the fight, while my training partner only has 2. He's got his arms, but I can incorporate my legs and my arms. And a lot of times we can deliver devastating strikes to the face with our legs in self-defense scenarios. There's also triangles that we can utilize. There's arm bars that we can utilize. There's sweeps. There's so many different things that we can do from guard, but you're never going to understand how and when to use that if you don't understand the basics. So first off, knowing that it is an offensive position and that you're not here to hide, but you're here to win is already a step in the right direction. Another thing I want you to get used to before we move on to the next point is get comfortable being terrible at this position. Guard has the opportunity to be very technical, right? It's a very deep pool of information, and oftentimes it can be overwhelming. Don't expect yourself to be really good at this right away. You're probably good at a few other things in your life, whether it be your job, being a parent, another sport, maybe even lifting. And it can be tough to swallow that pill that, oh God, I'm not good at this right now, but it's only right now. And with practice, especially long-term consistency, you will get better and you will start to understand it more. Now, a big thing I see new people doing, even some white belts, is utilizing death grips. Whether they're in gi or no gi, an opponent using death grips just because they have no idea what to do. They're holding on for dear life. They're either getting a collar grip on the back of the neck, or if it's a gi, they're grabbing the lapel, and they're just holding on as hard as they can, burning out their grips, burning out their arm muscles, trying to fold their training partner or their opponent in half, trying to get their head down to their chest. But then for what? What's your next move? What's your plan, right? Obviously, this is all part of the learning process, so don't beat yourself up if you're doing this, because there's value in trying things that don't work. But if I can help create a pathway to success that takes you around some of those things that you're doing wrong, then by all means, let's do it. I'll never forget competing in my very first tournament as a white belt at the IBJJF Chicago Open Championships. And I had no idea what I was doing with my grips. I had no idea. And every single one of my opponents felt like there was a purpose, there was a reason, a strategy behind their grips. And it almost stressed me out because I was like, I felt behind. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with my grips here. Are there takedowns? Am I trying to get submissions from my feet? And the answer is yes to all of the above. So if you don't know what you're doing with your grips yet, I know it feels safe to hold on for dear life, but in my opinion, you need to start exploring other options. Maybe talk to your coach about things you can do from here, because just holding on for dear life is delaying the inevitable, right? It's not really doing yourself any favors. Now, once you start to understand what you can do with your grips, yeah, some death grip is great because there's purpose behind it. This is a whole idea that I'm trying to put in your mind, that if there's purpose behind what you're doing, then it's great. But if you're just holding on because you have no idea what you're doing, okay, well, that's a sign that there's an area for improvement, right? And sometimes talking to your coach is one of the best things you can do, or a training partner you trust, like, hey, let's cover some tactics from guard. So one example I can give you of using a strong grip rather than just death gripping with no plan in place would be launching a triangle. As you can see in this example, I grab the back of my opponent's neck, getting a good strong grip here in an effort to help fold his posture forward. I can't always count on the idea of folding his head all the way down to my chest, even though some of us may want to do that. But if I can fold his posture just a little bit, it'll be enough for me to launch my hips up in the air and go ahead and lock in that triangle as you're watching here. Now that's an example of utilizing a grip to progress your situation. And it's okay if you don't know how to do that yet, but I want to put that journey in your head. I want to give you direction, right? You don't always need to know how to do the very next thing, but you need to know what the goal is, right? And in knowing the goal, it gives you direction rather than just aimlessly grabbing onto your opponent. Now you have some direction, which is a beautiful thing. And I just want to take a second to give my sponsor, X Martial, a shout out. On the mats, you've got seconds to react and sometimes even less. You train for hours to move with precision. Your gear should keep up. X Martial makes high quality, high performance no-gi gear. The fit is clean and the material durable, breathable, and built for battle. One thing I can't stand about certain no-gi brands is how quickly the material falls apart and how quickly the designs wash away. Literally every single one of my rash guards that I own from X Martial has stood the test of time. I've been training jiu-jitsu for 9 years and I still have rash guards that look brand new. And since we're talking about the designs, they're original, they're unique, they help you look good. If you're gonna go compete and you don't feel you look your best, you think that's helping you in your performance, you wanna go out and feel good about the person that you've built. And no-gi attire definitely helps with that. So if you want to look as good as me and probably even better, get over to xmartial.com and grab yourself some gear. I know you'd be happy you did. Look good, feel sharp, roll hard. Let's get back to the video. The next piece of the puzzle we can talk about is posture control. Many white belts, brand new people in jiu-jitsu, are only focusing on using their upper body to affect their training partner or opponent's posture. This isn't always the most effective way. As you look at the example here, you can see that I can fold my opponent forward or backwards by adjusting the tilt of my pelvis. Almost like doing like a leg raise, a hanging leg raise in the gym where I'm utilizing my core to pull him forward. It's the same exact thing. It's much more effective to do that instead of trying to use my grip strength and my arm strength and my back muscles to fold him down to me. This is just one of many examples in jiu-jitsu that you'll start to see all over the place where you can use different kinds of leverage to get the desired results rather than forcing it. Good technique feels very smooth. It almost feels effortless. Whereas if you're forcing positions, if you're forcing submissions, can that work? Yes. It's going to cost you a lot of energy, a lot of stamina, especially if you're competing. That's not exactly what you want to do. You want to conserve your gas tank till the very end. You want to have the energy for that first place match. So being very efficient with your energy expenditure is a big part of this. And in utilizing your hips and your lower body to affect your training partner or opponent's posture is exactly that. It's energy efficient and it's utilizing leverage over power. So if you're new to jiu-jitsu and you're struggling with guard, next time you're practicing in this position, try folding your opponent forward or pushing them away with your hips and just feel that effectiveness, right? A lot of times they have to post their hands on your chest to avoid falling completely forward. But that's also a great opportunity as their hands hit your chest to swipe them out of the way and get them to fall all the way forward. That way, I have his head on my chest and I can start looking for Ezekiel chokes if it's in the gi, or I can start looking for sweeps or whatever it is. But I broke his posture down completely with using very little energy and strength. And that is the beauty of jiu-jitsu. My next tip is hip placement. Now, a lot of times, new people, white belts, will sit very square on in the guard. They don't ever move their hips. They just lock their legs around their opponent's waist and they stay right there in that position and they're only using their upper body. You're gonna see that this is a common trend with new people. They're very upper body dominant. They forget that their lower body can also be used. So one of the things that you'll notice, usually around maybe mid-blue belt, sometimes lower purple belt, depends on how quickly the person is advancing, that someone with really active hips in the guard is a really big problem to deal with. That becomes really difficult because their hips are maybe bouncing off to the side. As you're watching in this example, you can see my hips bounce from one side to the other. I'm changing my position, I'm changing my angle. It allows me to get different avenues of attack rather than just sitting stagnant and square on the mats. Utilizing these little movements, even if you don't know what to do from there, will help remove that tendency to just stay still when really you want to be a moving target, but you also want to be a moving weapon, right? And that's exactly what you're doing. When you can move around in guard and kind of navigate around your opponent's body, one of the best things you can do in jiu-jitsu is instead of focusing on forcing your opponent to move, you just move yourself and they'll fall into place where you want them. So this is obviously another concept or another principle that takes time and experience to get better at. But if I can give you that avenue to focus on while you're training, it gives you purpose and direction rather than just going in blind and not knowing what's supposed to come next. Having some direction is a beautiful thing for progress. And my last little tip here is just knowing when to let go of guard, right? Many times, new people, brand new white belts, even slightly seasoned white belts, will hold on to positions way too long. They want to death grip the position, and whether they're losing it or they're not, they're gonna death grip it. And a lot of times you die on that hill, right? If you overcommit to a position that you're losing, you're setting yourself up for a loss in some way, shape, or form. Think about it like this. If you're in guard and you're losing the position, your legs are starting to pop open, that means your opponent is either looking to pass your guard or they're looking to set up some kind of a submission, probably a leg lock, right? The longer you let these things progress, the longer you let your opponent progress through their operating system, the more difficult it becomes to deal with. The best and easiest time to deal with any attack, tactic, strategy deployed by your opponent is at the inception or the very beginning, the birth of that attack. The sooner you can deal with threats, whether it's breaking a guard open or submission, whatever it is, the easier it's going to be. You let these things progress into what they're supposed to be, you're asking for trouble. So if you feel your guard breaking open because your opponent's trying to pass your guard, don't hold on to it. As you can see in the example, I'm dropping into open guard. From open guard, there's all different kinds of sweeps that you can do. There's all different kinds of things you can do. And even if you don't know what to do from open guard, or if you don't know any sweeps, you don't know any of that stuff, this is still a good habit to get into. I think for you, if you are brand new and someone's beginning to break your guard open, right? They're trying to stand up in your guard, open your guard for them and put your feet on their hips. Or try to put your feet, put the shoelace section of your feet inside their calves or inside their knee pit, right? Just get used to having that strategy in place. Over time, you're gonna learn what to do next, but I can tell you that if you hold on for dear life and they break that guard open and you're not addressing it, you're still trying to hold the guard, they're gonna pass your guard. And they're probably gonna get to a position of dominance, and then you're gonna get stuck, and then you're gonna get submitted. So again, we can just deal with that problem at its inception, right? They break your guard open, you go open guard, so feet on the hips, and then just try to keep them away from you. Try to keep your feet between your body and their body. You can keep them at a distance, and that's a great place to work on while you start to learn other things at your school, like sweeps, submissions, wrestle ups, whatever it is. Take action. Don't hold on to things until you've lost it. Learn to let go and move forward from there. Now, obviously, guard is a very detail-rich position, and I could probably do a video that lasted hours on this. I could probably do a documentary on the position of guard because there's so many details, especially when you're aiming it at beginners, but this is a great starting place for you guys. Get used to the fact that you're not gonna know everything. Get used to the fact that there's gonna be questions and you're gonna be confused. That is absolutely normal for everyone, right? So just get used to it, because you start to unwind that confusion, you start to figure things out as you progress, and it's all gonna make sense eventually. For now, you have some direction. For now, you have an idea of what's to come next, and that'll allow more progress to fall into your life. With that, guys, if you have any other tips for guard, some of you guys that have some experience, drop them in the comments, because we can all learn from each other, including me. I'm still learning. I'm very much a student, and I love that. To be able to learn still after almost a decade of jiu-jitsu it makes it fun. It makes it fun, guys. So I always appreciate you guys commenting. Thank you for the support. You know how we like to end them, sometimes backwards, always forwards. I'll see you in the next one.